Hey ladies, this is Mocha Mommy here bringing you another video. And in this video, I just want to follow up with you ladies regarding the hullabaloo around the suited content creator. Okay. I wanted to make sure I gave it a day, that I had the information, and I know I had went live early yesterday morning to talk about it simply because I wanted you ladies just to be okay. This is a big deal in YouTube. And I just want to make sure you ladies were okay and that we had a conversation about healthcare and healthcare advocacy. So my first priority is you and your well-being as my subscribers, because I do know that this is a very young algorithm. Okay. And I just wanted to make sure that you ladies were okay. And I know that that's, when we talk about feminine energy, that's feminine motherhood energy. Just before you get anything, you just check on your people. So I went live early, just making sure that I spoke to you ladies about healthcare advocacy. All right. And as we kind of go into Mother's Day weekend, letting your mothers know that they care, that you care. All right. And I know that some of our mothers are not perfect, but if there is any kind of healthy boundary you can establish or reconciliation, knowing that life is short in light of this thing with the suited content creator, please, ladies, do your best to make amends on a term that suits you so that you can protect your peace in the future, knowing that you've done all that you could. And with the elder women in your life, your mother's the elder women in your life, so you don't have to carry that around with you. So also, just as we approach this issue, being okay is, I want you ladies to be okay. All right. That's the first thing. So with that being said, when it comes to the suited content creator, I know I don't owe you ladies an explanation, and you've never pressed me for an explanation. I do know that some of you ladies wanted to talk to me a little bit about the suited content creator wanted me to make reaction videos. I said a year ago, I think I made like 2, maybe 3, and then said, don't ask me. All right. So now that the suited content creator is, his content is not going to be as much of an issue. I just kind of want to explain myself. All right. Just explain myself a bit. All right. And why I decided to never mention his name and why I've made the decision to protect my peace against it. Okay. So at the turn of the century, we talk about segregation, the Jim Crow South, and the horrible segregation, violence, and basically abuses of human rights that happened to Black people across the Jim Crow South. But we never really talk about the vagrancy laws and the violence and human rights violations that came with the vagrancy laws of the Midwest. We never really talk about that in our history. And lots of families lost their breadwinners. Lots of children lost their fathers and mothers. It was just an unsafe place in an unsafe time to be Black and working, to be Black and a student, to be Black and outside at the turn of the century in the Midwest. Now, one man sought to do something about that. That man was Elder Diggs, who left the safety and the warmth of a Black Boule community in Washington, D.C., to go to the Midwest to create academic support system and for Black men who were in college, okay? Because it was very common that they could be killed, incarcerated, beaten up, injured, just walking to and from campus, because there were certain places that they were not supposed to walk through, just given safe places to study. If they were in class late, in the winter time, in those brutal winters, to be caught out after dark and as a Black man was just not safe. So he went back to the Midwest to create basically a support system for Black male students. And that is what we know today as the fraternity Kappa Alpha Psi, Fraternity Incorporated, okay? Started in 1911 by this man. It was just not safe for Black men to be students that day. And when I think about the sacrifices of men like Elder Diggs, how they risked life, health, safety, comfort, and wealth for the well-being of Black men and Black people, I really feel that this is a legacy that we should honor. And I know that we will never get a clear idea of how much men like Elder Diggs sacrifice so that Black people can say, I have a PhD. Okay? Black people in 7 countries across 700 chapters have committed to this level of just excellence and fraternity. And I don't want to make light of anything sacred, okay? That's the last thing I want to do. But the student content creator was a member of this fraternity. A member of this fraternity. So that means he stood shoulder to shoulder with other brothers in this 110-year tradition, 111-year tradition, right? To make it a point to always protect the legacy that created Black PhDs. Okay, this was the brother organization to Sigma Gamma Rho, Sorority Incorporated, for which I am a 3rd generation. Okay, and so I took my pledge to uphold what my grandmother pledged to and what these women sacrificed for, my foremothers and the forefathers of Kappa Alpha Psi sacrificed for. I choose to uphold this legacy of these 7 women and the 3 men who founded Kappa Alpha Psi. I choose to uphold that legacy. And the fact that someone would make a mockery of it is someone who's not a man of his word. And if you're not a man of your word, you are not a man worth mentioning. And that has been my biggest problem with the suited content creator. That has been my biggest problem with him. That's why I didn't want to make response video, because I don't want to watch him. Okay? Because I really feel that this is not a fall from grace, but this is a descent into depravity. Because you know the legacy you came from. And usually when you know better, you do better. And he chose to mock what it is that these individuals have sacrificed for, which is for Black people to be able to get any degree they want in safety and in fraternity, and have supported one another through that. And that really upset me and irritated me. And I felt that it was an affront to the legacy that we pledged to uphold, and also an affront to the sacrifices my grandmother has made, that my aunts have made, and that I have made. So that's why you don't ever hear me mention his name, because I feel like if you're not a man of your word to uphold that pledge, then you're not a man worth mentioning. And I'm going to tell you something that's very, very ironic, ladies, okay? That there was a point in time where I was not always on the best of terms of the sisters of this organization because of who I chose to marry. But interestingly enough, he was very supportive of me. He was very, very supportive of me. And I remember him going to one of my strolls, right? As an alumni, right? And he asked me, hey, have you ever been to Luisa, Puerto Rico? He asked me. And I said, no. Maybe I've told this story in this channel before. And he's like, oh. I said, I'm going to make it a point to take you. I'm making a point to take you there. And when I went, as well as a place in Hamo, Cuba. Hamo, Cuba is another place where he took me and my sister, that we saw that stroll came from somewhere. Those colors came from somewhere. And those steps came from somewhere. And those high-pitched sounds that we make to call each other across the yard came from somewhere. And this indigenous Taino Borinquen man, okay? So my husband's indigenous, right? Indigenous to the island of Puerto Rico, okay? One of the native indigenous people of Puerto Rico, the Borinquen Tainos, right? He understood more about this legacy and cares more about preserving this legacy than the suited content creator did. And I'm very blessed to have someone like that in my life, to be encouraging of that, to honor that. As well as someone who could sit at the feet of my great uncle who played in the Negro Leagues, and they could sit and talk baseball for hours. He always has honored who it is I was. And I've always been so grateful for that. I'm so grateful to have that in my life. And I want for you ladies to have that same thing. Your Blackness is not a curse. It is a blessing to men who really understand the beauty of the legacy that you hold. So this is why I never wanted to confront the suited content creator and his issues and his platform and argue him down. There was a time where I thought that there was a point where we should have a discussion, but it became clear that they didn't want to be better. Even when they came to platforms that were a little bit more female accommodating to women, right? Him and his followers had no interest in or care of our well-being. So after that, I was like, I'm done. I'm done with y'all. And also, there's something that my dad said. Okay, my dad always has really good sayings. And sometimes I didn't really appreciate his wisdom until I got much older. And one of those sayings was, there are wealthy Black people. And then there's niggas with some money. And about 2 minutes into the conversation, you're going to know who you're dealing with. Hence to say, when I heard this man open his mouth, I already knew what I was dealing with. All right? Ain't nothing high value about that. Number two, there was a very serious red flag for me as a sports fan. Let me tell you something, ladies. Thursday nights. If you hosting a live on Thursday night, that is a red flag. Why is that a red flag? That in 2006, the NFL decided, as they had created new expansion teams, when they wanted to expand that market, they expanded it into Thursday night. Why? Because with the advent of e-banking and digital banking, early payday. And early payday meant Thursday nights was times when men with disposable income would buy tickets, would purchase pay-per-view and satellite packages to get premium viewing experiences for game and sporting events. So Thursday night became a way for men with disposable income, right? For sports, for major sports outlets, multi-billion-dollar organizations, major sports outlets to get access to men with disposable income. Thursday night, all right? A lot of playoffs happen on Thursday nights. A lot of marquee matchups happen on Thursday night. Dana White of the UFC was able to surpass boxing as a viewer pugilist sport because he chose to have his pay-per-views on Thursday nights. So if you on YouTube on Thursday nights talking about women's hair weaves and attitude, that means you don't have either the financial currency or the social currency to be out with the rest of what men are doing. Thursday night, okay, that was Mets Phillies. Thursday night, okay, I was out Thursday night. We went to the movies, stopped by the bar. What was on the TV? Stanley Cup playoffs, y'all. The only one sport that has more six-figure earners than baseball is hockey. And right now on Thursday night, those men are out. Ain't nobody on no lives talking about women's attitudes. Thursday night lives were the biggest red flag. That was one of the biggest red flags I had seen. Why are you live on Thursday night? Because let me tell you, where the ball is at are the sports bars. Where the ball is at are having fight parties because they can afford pay-per-view. Where the ball is at, right, they got tickets on Thursday nights. But you on YouTube, live, with thousands of men in your chat, those are men who ain't got currency. Because they don't have friends that's going to invite them to a fight party and they don't have money to hit the sports bars. I'm just letting you know. That was the first red flag that I had noticed. Then that man opened his mouth. Now he's gone. And I'm going to pass the baton on to my ladies who have more, I guess, esoteric knowledge, right, about what happens when you don't honor your word and your ancestral roots, right? I I know that has to have some kind of implication. And I'm not wishing death or curse or spirits on anyone. I'm not wishing that on anyone. But it's just something that I can't articulate. When you don't honor your foremothers and your forefathers, when you pledge to uphold something and you then make a mockery of it, there's got to be some. So I'm going to just pass it on to my spiritual ladies, my, uppity unicorn, Lisa at Soul Level Healing, Framing Femininity. I'm sure that you ladies can better articulate something that I'm unable to articulate. But I just feel if you make a mockery of an ancestral legacy, that there's a consequence to that. So I'll leave that up to those ladies to explain, because it's nothing I can articulate. But I just wish you ladies a happy Mother's Day weekend. And I wish you the best in spiritual, mental, and physical health. And know that I always come from a place of wanting what's best for you. But in the meantime, it is going to mean protecting my own peace. And in order to protect my own peace, that means if you ain't a man of your word, you ain't a man worth acknowledging. And that's where I'm going to stand on that issue. And although I don't wish anything awful on anyone, I stand where I stand. This is Mocha Mommy, and I'll see you in the next video.